Think about the last time you walked out of your annual performance review. You're lighter. You feel seen. You got the raise. On the way back to your desk, your brain starts spending it for you. A little extra on the card. Better groceries. Maybe you finally stop saying no to a weekend trip. Then life taps you on the shoulder. You stop for gas. The total feels higher than it should. You do a normal grocery run. Same staples, same brands. Somehow the cart looks smaller. Or you open your bank app and see your autopay bills and think, wait. That went up again, and now you're stuck in this weird emotional math. You're earning more. You're doing what you were told to do. But you don't feel ahead. Here's the part that messes with you. It's not one big disaster. It's a slow leak, quiet, constant. So how can a raise feel like progress, while your real life feels tighter? Let me be clear about something. That review room win can be real on paper and still be a loss in your life. Here's what most people don't realize. There are two kinds of raises. A nominal raise is the headline number. The percent your employer proudly prints on the document. It's, you make more dollars now. A real raise is the only one that actually matters. It's your pay after inflation, meaning after prices rise, and it answers one question. Can you buy more, the same, or less than you could last year? And the twist is simple. If your raise is smaller than inflation, your buying power goes down. This isn't opinion. It's basic inflation math used everywhere from economics textbooks to everyday inflation calculators. Your real change is roughly your raise minus inflation. More precisely, nominal divided by 1 plus inflation, minus 1. So when your company says, congrats, you got 3%, your life still has to answer, okay, but did groceries, rent, insurance, and everything else rise by more than 3%? Even the official inflation number moves enough to change the story. The Bureau of Labor Statistics CPI, the Consumer Price Index, basically a big, typical basket of stuff, tracker, rose 2.9% from December 2023 to December 2024. If your raise is 2% in that kind of year, you didn't get ahead. You fell behind, and it goes deeper than that, because the inflation that hits you isn't always the headline number you hear on the news. So before you even judge your raise, you need to switch scoreboards. Nominal versus real is just a fancy way of saying dollars versus dollars that still buy something. Nominal pay is what your paycheck says. Real pay is what that paycheck can purchase after prices move. Inflation is the price creep in the background, the same life costing more over time. Here's the simplest way to think about it. Your real raise is your raise compared to inflation. A common rule of thumb is raise minus inflation. The more exact version is 1 plus raise, divided by 1 plus inflation, minus 1. Same idea, different precision. Now put numbers on it. If you get a 3% raise and prices rise 4%, the math says your real wage change is about negative 1%. In plain English, you can buy about 1% less than last year even though your paycheck is bigger. That's straight from standard real wage math. Real growth equals nominal growth minus inflation. Picture a $60,000 salary. A 3% raise takes you to $61,800. Feels like progress, but if your basket of everyday costs is 4% more expensive, your new $61,800 behaves like it shrank. Not dramatically, just enough that you notice it in the small stuff first, and this is where people get emotionally trapped. You feel ungrateful for questioning it. But this isn't about gratitude. It's about measurement. If you don't measure the real raise, you'll keep wondering why you're doing better and still squeezing the same month. Because once you see nominal versus real, you start asking the next uncomfortable question. Whose inflation are you even comparing it to? Now zoom in, because your household doesn't live inside an average spreadsheet. Inflation is one word, but it hits different people in different ways. The official number is an average across categories, like a blended smoothie. Your personal inflation rate is your specific mix: rent or mortgage, insurance, commuting, groceries, childcare, utilities. If the categories you spend the most on rise faster than the average, your life feels more expensive even when the headline inflation number looks fine. Take rent. Zillow's consumer housing trends data shows year-over-year rent growth around plus 5.7% nationally as of September 2023 on its observed rent index. That's a big move if rent is your largest bill. Now stack another category that quietly exploded: car insurance. The BLS CPI component for motor vehicle insurance saw huge year-over-year jumps, reported around 20.6% in January and February 2024, and 22.2% in March 2024 versus March 2023. So imagine two coworkers, both getting a 3.5% raise. One has a fixed-rate mortgage. Their biggest bill stays steady. Their inflation might be mostly groceries and a couple subscriptions. The other is renting and just renewed. Their rent jumps closer to that 2023 pace. Their car insurance resets at one of those 20% plus increases. Same raise, totally different reality. Here's what that means for you. Comparing your raise to a generic inflation number can be misleading. Your raise has to beat your personal cost structure, the bills you actually pay, and once you see that, you notice something else. Your raise isn't just a number. It's also a story your workplace tells you about that number. You've got the real scoreboard now. Next, you're going to see how raises get packaged to keep the conversation emotional, and how to walk in with facts instead. Because once you bring facts into this, you start noticing how hard your workplace tries to keep it vibes only. Here's the concept. Raises aren't just math, they're framing. Your employer sets an anchor, usually a percentage, and your brain treats that first number like the reference point. Then they wrap it in performance praise, urgency, and "we did what we could" language, so you react emotionally instead of calculating what it means after prices. And this isn't just a theory. In negotiation research on the anchoring effect, the initial number you hear biases what you judge as reasonable afterward. That's straight out of the classic work by Tversky and Kahneman, 1974, and decades of follow-up. So picture a review where you hear, "We're excited to give you a 3% merit increase." That 3% becomes the anchor. Not the CPI, not your rent renewal, not your insurance premium. Then comes the distraction, or "we can do a one-time bonus." Here's the part most people miss. Researchers Nyberg, Pieper, and Trevor, 2013, explain the key difference. A merit increase becomes part of base salary and compounds into future earnings, while a bonus is paid once and doesn't raise future pay. Same dollar amount today can mean very different money over time. Now add the subtle pressure. Compliment first, number second, gratitude implied, and suddenly it feels socially risky to say, "Thanks, but this is a real pay cut." Implication for you. If you walk in with only feelings, they can keep you anchored to their number. If you walk in with inflation-adjusted math and a base pay focus, the conversation shifts from "be grateful" to "be accurate." So what do you actually do with all of this? This month, without turning into a spreadsheet robot, here's exactly what to do. Not theory. Steps. Point 1. Calculate your real raise in 5 minutes. Write last year's salary and this year's salary. Convert to a percent increase. Then compare it to inflation 2 ways: the CPI change for that year and your own bills. If your raise is below either one, call it what it is, a real pay cut. Point 2. Build a personal inflation index. Pick your top 6 to 10 recurring categories: housing, groceries, gas, transit, utilities, insurance, childcare, subscriptions. Pull this month and the same month last year from your bank app. Circle the 2 categories that jumped the most. That's your actual enemy, not some vague "prices are up." 3. Walk into the raise conversation with the right sentence. "I'm focused on keeping my compensation flat in real terms and reflecting expanded scope. Based on inflation and my results, I'm targeting X% adjustment to base pay." Base pay first, because bonuses don't fix next year. Point 4. If they can't do it, build leverage on a 60 to 90-day clock. Document outcomes, benchmark similar roles, and start either an internal promotion path or external applications. Quietly, calmly, no drama, just options. Point 5. While you're fixing income, stop the raise from evaporating. Auto-increase savings by a small percent, renegotiate one bill, insurance as a usual suspect, and do a price creep audit on subscriptions and repeat purchases. If this was useful, you'll want the next video on a clean, non-awkward negotiation script you can actually say out loud, plus how to pick the one number to ask for. Subscribe if you want more system-aware money moves like this, and drop your raise percent in the category that spiked the most for you.